Alrighty, hopefully this is working now. We're trying again. Um, if, if you didn't watch yesterday's video, it's complaining about technical difficulties. Hopefully it's working this time. If it is, you'll see this video and me reading from this while also recording on the shorts. Fingers crossed. We are getting into Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5. Then the righteous man will stand with confidence in the presence of those who afflict him, and those who reject his labors when they see him will be shaken with dreadful fear, and they shall be amazed at his unexpected salvation. They will speak among themselves with regret, and in anguish of spirit they will groan and say, "This is the man whom we fools once held in derision, and made a byword of disgrace. We considered his life to be madness, and his death as without honor. How has he been numbered among the sons of God? And how is his portion among the saints? Therefore we went astray from the way of truth. For the light of righteousness did not shine on us, and the sun did not rise before us, and we were satisfied with the paths of lawlessness, and we traveled through impassable deserts. But the way of the Lord we have not known. What has arrogance profited us? And how has our wealth with its false pretension helped us?" And this is now in the parts of the videos. If this is working right, you'll see the pause, and now the resume. All those things have passed by like a shadow, and like news that escaped notice, like a ship that passes through the waves of waters, which after passing through, no trace can be found, nor the pathway of its keel in the waves, or like a bird when it flies through the air. No proof of its journey is found, and the light air, whipped by the beating of its pinions, and divided by the force of its rushing motion, is traveled through by the movement of its wings. But after this, no sign of its approach is found therein. Or like an arrow, when it is shot at an object, the divided air immediately comes together, so that no one knows its pathway. Thus we also, after we are born, come to an end, yet have no sign of virtue to show, but have been entirely consumed in our vice. Because our hope of the ungodly man is like dust carried by the wind, and like a light frost driven away by a storm. It is dispersed, a little like smoke before the wind. And it passes like the remembrance of a guest who stays only one day. But the righteous live forever, and their reward is with the Lord, and their care is by the Most High. Therefore they shall receive a kingly dwelling of dignity, and a crown of beauty from the hand of the Lord. Because he will shelter them with his right hand, and protect them with his arm. He will take his zeal as his full armor, and will turn his creation into weapons against his enemies. He will bear righteousness as a breastplate, and put on impartial judgment as a helmet. He will take holiness as an unconquerable shield, and sharpen his relentless wrath for a sword, and creation will fight with him against the senseless. Well-aimed flashes of lightning will strike, and leap to their object, as from a well-drawn bow of clouds. And hailstones full of anger will be hurled, as from an engine of war. The water of the sea will be vexed with them, and the rivers will wash over them severely. A powerful wind will oppose them, and like a storm it will winnow them away. Lawlessness will lay waste all the earth, and wrongdoings will overturn the thrones of rulers. I hope from the beginning of chapter 5 here, you can kind of see why people will often say this particular book in the Apocrypha can be used to point forward to Jesus. But other than that, you see a lot of those same common themes that you kind of see throughout a lot of the Old Testament. And I'll say this, there is nothing in here, at least that we've read thus far, that is particular to this. You can find all this elsewhere in the Bible. But there is the super present idea of the wickedness of the evil will be turned back onto their own heads. And I don't think I said it a lot in the Proverbs videos, but in my Proverbs devotional, when that comes out, there will be quite a bit of talk of that throughout it. Because the Proverbs repeats a lot of the same ideas throughout its entire structure, and you'll see that a lot with most of the longer, even some of the shorter form books of the Bible. And part of that, we're going on a complete side tangent here, but it matters for this as well. is in Hebrew culture, and of course that carried through the generations, is their poetry wasn't necessarily about rhyming words as we kind of do in the English language. It was generally more about rhyming, for lack of a better word, ideas and thoughts. You would take an idea and then you'd either restate it, change it a little bit, or put a contrasting idea. And that would be a large part of how their poetry worked. Would be this idea, related or repeated idea, related or repeated idea. And the word for it escapes me. But another large feature of Hebrew poetry is where the most important part of it, right? Normally in American literature, we'll put the most important part right up front or towards the end. That's where we'll kind of put the big punch. They'll put it in the middle. So you'll have your end makes a point, your start makes a point, your end makes the same point. It's because they're pointing you to the middle. Whatever there's in the middle is what it wants you to get. And right, you see that in the flood narrative. I can't remember exactly which verse, but in chapter 8 is kind of where the middle is. There's the punchline, there's the point. So just things to kind of be on the lookout for as we're reading through the Apocrypha. Something to kind of keep in mind in the back of your head is how their literature works exactly. It definitely changes the way you can read a text and what you think is going to be the emphasis. Because if it is in the middle and you're missing the middle, it's kind of a big thing. And sometimes, right, there's multiple points so throughout one long body of text, or there's only one point buried in the center somewhere. So just something to keep in mind.